In this set of words, we're using the C for the sound, so it has to be followed by an E, I or Y. So you might want to go through and colour in the C1 colour that's saying the sound, and then the letter that comes after it that is forcing it to make that sound. So we've got E's, I's, E again, again, E, I, and E. So we quite often use CE for the sound at the end of a word because frequently we use SE for the Z sound. Now our words are centre, and you can see here we've got the RE, which tells us it's probably of Greek origin, and normally you would think it would be ER, but this is RE. We've got century, so we've got the sound there with the Y at the end, making that common E sound at the end of a word. Certain, we give it a schwat sound, but you've got to know that it's the AI that we use there. Acid, accident, they're fairly easy. Office, you've got a short vowel there, so don't forget you've got the double F after the short vowel. You've got another R control vowel here in the ER in service. Nothing special there. Excite, you've got that E also making that I, making a long vowel sound. And produce, you've got the E making the U make a long vowel sound too. Now if we go through and look at what these words mean, we've got centre means the middle of something. A century means 100. It could be 100 runs in cricket, or it could be 100 years in time. Certain is to make sure, or something is very certain or very sure of happening, very likely. Acid, if you tasted something that's acidic, it would have a very sharp or sour taste like lemons have. But acid in this form is a chemical that dissolves some metals. And you can also use acid as an adjective in that someone might say something nasty, and you might say it's an acidic remark, which means it's not nice. Now, an accident is something that's not planned. An office is a workspace when you serve or assist someone, is service. And it could also mean a routine check on a vehicle, or it can also be a system that supplies something a community needs, like electricity and water. A notice is when you see something, you notice something, and it can also be an important message. So it could be a noun and a verb too. When you're excited, you have fun. So to excite means to make someone happy, to have fun. Now this could be both a noun and a verb too. It could be produce or produce. So produce are the things that we supply or make, and produce something is the actual making of something. So you can go through, don't forget to read the words, sound or syllabify them, spell them, write them and check them. In this list, we're reminding you that when you see a C followed by an E, an I or a Y, it's going to make the C say S. And if you do need the curt sound, you know that you have to use a K if the letter after the curt sound is an E, I or Y. So let's have a look at our words. Centre, century, certain, acid, accident, office, service, notice, excite and produce, or produce. You can say that either way. So here you have to simply complete the words here using either the CE or the CI. We didn't include any CY words in this list. There aren't an awful lot of them, but they do exist. Down here you have to read and fill in the gap with a list word. So I've given you quite a few sentences to work on there. There are some words here that have more than one meaning. And then down the bottom we're asking you to sort the list words into these categories. Now, the words that are just nouns, you'd write here. The words that are just verbs, you'd write here. And if a word is a noun and a verb, it could be either, you write those words here. So an example of a noun would be office. It's just a noun. An example of a word that would be a verb would be, excite. And a word that could be a noun and a verb could be produce or produce. In these words, we're looking at the C making the sound because it's either followed by an E or an I. It could be followed by a Y too to make that sound, but we don't have a CY word in this list. So we've got centre, century, certain, acid, accident, office, service, notice, excite and produce. So down here you've got to complete the crossword puzzle using list word extensions. So you could be using one of these words as a noun, either singular or plural. The verbs may be in their different tenses. You'll have to think of the different ways you can form an adjective to make it sound right in the sentence. And adverbs generally end with ly, so that might be a handy hint for you there. So you'll find the list word that will fit the space first, and then work out what suffixes you need to add to it to make it in its correct form so it sounds right in each of these sentences. This is a proofreading exercise from the story of the Princess and the Frog, and it's a fairy tale. It's not true, of course. And so what we want you to do is to start getting used to using proofreading marks when you need to edit your work. So in this passage that we've given you, you're going to have to put in some full stops. We've missed out 3 of them. There are some capital letters we haven't put in, so you're going to have to identify them. There's 4 of them. Now, transverse means to switch words around. So if you accidentally wrote he to went and you want to change it around, you just do this little squiggle line here, and then you would know it means he went to. So you should change the order of those words around. There are 24 words spelled incorrectly. Just circle them and then write them correctly on these lines at the end. And then there are some speech marks. There's 3 sets of speech marks that are missing that we haven't indicated where people are actually talking. Now, where you have to edit or correct the spelling, there is 1 per line, and we've given you 1 line per line. So there is 1 in every single line of that story.